Owner has no idea why chicken looks gray, so he goes undercover and finds staff washing meat with bleach. Marcus Chin wiped down the counter for the third time that evening, his eyes drifting to table 7. The elderly couple sitting there, the Hendersons, regulars for nearly 5 years, were pushing their chicken around their plates like children avoiding vegetables. Mrs. Henderson caught his eye and smiled weakly. That smile told him everything. "Everything okay with your meal?" Marcus asked, approaching their table with practiced concern. Mr. Henderson cleared his throat. "Marcus, we love this place." "You know we do. But?" Marcus prompted, his stomach tightening. "The chicken tastes off," Mrs. Henderson said gently. "Sort of metallic? And it looks pale, almost gray under the sauce." Marcus felt heat rise to his face, not from anger, but from embarrassment. This wasn't the first complaint this week. It was the 7th. "I'm so sorry," he said, grabbing their plates. "Please let me prepare you something else. Anything you want on the house." "Oh, Marcus, you don't have to. I insist." As he carried the plates back to the kitchen, Marcus's mind raced. 7 complaints in 1 week. Before that, maybe 2 complaints in an entire month, and those were usually about wait times or temperature, never about the food tasting strange. He pushed through the swinging doors into the kitchen's fluorescent brightness. His head cook, Derek, was flipping something on the grill. The 2 line cooks, James and Sophia, worked silently at their stations. The atmosphere felt thick, uncomfortable. "Derek," Marcus called out. "The Hendersons sent back their chicken. Said it tastes metallic and looks gray." Derek's shoulders tensed, but he didn't turn around. "Must have been overcooked. I'll redo it." "That's the 7th complaint this week about chicken specifically," Marcus said, his voice harder now. "What's going on?" "Nothing's going on," Derek replied, still not making eye contact. "Maybe people are just being picky." Marcus set the plates down with more force than necessary. "The Hendersons have eaten here for 5 years. They're not picky. They're loyal." James and Sophia exchanged glances, quick, nervous glances that people make when they share a secret. "Look, boss." Derek finally turned around, his face unreadable. "I don't know what to tell you. We're cooking the same way we always have." That was a lie. Marcus could sense it the way you sense a storm coming. He'd owned Chen's Kitchen for 12 years, built it from a struggling takeout joint into a neighborhood gem. He knew his staff, knew the rhythms of his kitchen, and something had changed. "Show me the chicken," Marcus said. "What?" "The raw chicken. In the walk-in." "Show me." Derek's jaw tightened. "It's just chicken, Marcus. Same supplier we've used for years. Then showing me won't be a problem." The tension in the kitchen was suffocating. Sophia had stopped chopping entirely. James stared at his prep station like it held the secrets of the universe. Finally, Derek walked to the walk-in refrigerator and pulled out a tray of chicken breasts. They looked fine. Normal pink color, properly packaged, dated from 3 days ago. Marcus picked up a piece, examining it under the light. It looked perfect. He smelled it, fresh, clean, exactly as it should be. "See?" Derek said. "Nothing wrong with the supply." But if nothing was wrong with the supply, why were customers complaining? Why did the staff act like he'd accused them of murder? Marcus spent the next hour checking everything. He reviewed the delivery logs. All normal. He checked expiration dates on every package in the walk-in, everything within acceptable ranges. He even tested the refrigerator temperature, perfect 38 degrees Fahrenheit. The kitchen had emptied out by the time he finished. The dinner rush was over, just a few stragglers remained in the dining room. Marcus leaned against the prep counter, exhausted and confused. His phone buzzed. A notification from the restaurant's review page. "Used to love this place, but something's wrong with the chicken. Tasted chemical-like and looked weird. Really disappointed. 3 stars. From another regular customer." Marcus felt sick. His restaurant was his life's work. After his parents died, the insurance money and his savings had gone into this place. Every tile, Every menu item, every relationship with suppliers had been carefully built over a decade. And now something was destroying it from the inside. He walked back to the kitchen, turning on the lights. In the silence, he noticed something he missed before, a faint smell. Not from the chicken in the walk-in, but from the prep sink area. Chemical. Sharp. Like cleaning solution, but stronger. Marcus walked to the sink, running his fingers along the basin. Nothing visible, but that smell was definitely there. He checked under the sink, standard cleaning supplies. Dish soap. Degreaser. And something else, pushed to the back. A large bottle of bleach. Commercial grade. The bottle was nearly empty. That was odd. They used bleach for sanitizing surfaces at closing time, but one bottle usually lasted weeks. This one looked like it had been drained in days. Marcus stood there, holding the bottle, his mind racing. Why would they need this much bleach? And then another thought struck him, one that made his blood run cold. The chicken in the walk-in looked perfect. Too perfect. But the chicken customers received looked gray and tasted metallic. Something was happening to the chicken between the walk-in and the plates. Something the staff didn't want him to see. Marcus set the bottle down carefully, his hands shaking slightly. He'd been an owner for 12 years, but never an investigator. Never someone who had to doubt his own staff. But those reviews, those complaints, that nervous energy in his kitchen, they all pointed to one terrible conclusion. His employees were hiding something. And whatever it was destroying everything he'd built. He needed to find out what. But asking questions wasn't working. Confrontation wasn't working. Marcus looked at his reflection in the stainless steel refrigerator door. If he wanted the truth, he'd have to get it another way. He pulled out his phone and scrolled through his contacts until he found the number he needed. Ray Martinez, his poultry supplier's operations manager. They'd had drinks a few times, talked about the business, complained about the industry together. Ray would help him. Ray would give him the answers he needed. But as Marcus stared at the number, his finger hovering over the call button, one question burned in his mind: what exactly was he about to discover? And was he ready for the answer? Marcus arrived at the restaurant at 4:30 a.m., 3 hours before anyone else. The street was empty, dark except for the orange glow of streetlights. He barely slept, his mind churning with possibilities, each one worse than the last. He unlocked the back door and slipped inside, flipping on only the essential lights. The kitchen felt different in the pre-dawn silence, larger somehow. Every surface seemed to hold secrets. He went straight to the walk-in and pulled out a fresh package of chicken breasts. The label read yesterday's date. He unwrapped them on the prep counter, examining each piece under the bright overhead lights. Perfect. Pink. Fresh smelling. Exactly as they should be. Marcus washed his hands and began preparing the chicken exactly as Derek would, seasoning, marinating, the standard recipe they'd used for years. But as he worked, something felt wrong. The smell. It wasn't quite right. Fresh chicken had a distinct, mild smell, clean, slightly sweet. This chicken smelled like nothing. Completely neutral. As if something had stripped away its natural scent. Marcus lifted a piece to his nose and inhaled deeply. The absence of smell was almost more disturbing than a bad smell would have been. It reminded him of when his apartment building had a gas leak and they'd added that artificial scent to the odorless gas. This was the opposite, something natural made artificial. He cooked one piece thoroughly, let it cool slightly, then tasted it. The texture was fine. The seasoning came through. But underneath, there was something else, a faint metallic tang that didn't belong. Not strong enough to be obvious, but enough to notice if you were paying attention. Enough for loyal customers to notice. Marcus spit it into the trash, his heart pounding. The chicken was compromised somehow, but the question was when? The packages from the supplier looked fine. So the problem had to be happening here, in his kitchen. He checked the clock, 5:47 a.m. Derek would arrive around 6:30 to start prep work. Marcus quickly cleaned his workspace, erasing all evidence of his early morning investigation. Then he hid himself in the small office adjacent to the kitchen, door cracked open just enough to observe. Derek arrived at 6:28 a.m., punctual as always. He moved through the kitchen with familiar efficiency, turning on equipment, checking temperatures, pulling out ingredients. Nothing unusual. James arrived at 6:45, then Sophia at 7 o'clock. The three of them worked in practice synchronization, talking occasionally about normal things, weekend plans, a TV show, someone's car trouble. Marcus watched for 2 hours. Nothing. Just normal prep work for the lunch service. He was about to give up when Derek glanced at the clock and nodded to James. "I'm going to start the chicken." "Cool," James said, not looking up from the vegetables he was chopping. Derek pulled out a tray of chicken from the walk-in, the same batch Marcus had examined earlier. But instead of bringing it directly to the prep station, Derek carried it toward the back corner, near the dry storage area. Marcus shifted position, straining to see. Derek disappeared behind a tall shelf unit. Marcus could hear water running, but couldn't see what Derek was doing. 2 minutes later, Derek emerged with the same tray and brought it to the prep station. The chicken looked identical. But something had happened in those 2 minutes. Marcus's phone vibrated in his pocket. A text from his supplier, Ray Martinez, responding to the message Marcus had sent last night. "Hey Marcus, got your message. Yeah, we can talk. Swing by the depot around 2 p.m.? I'll show you our quality control process." Marcus typed back quickly. "Perfect. See you then." He needed to compare what the supplier was sending versus what was ending up on plates. If the supplier's chicken was fine, and Marcus suspected it was, then the problem was definitely internal. The lunch service started at 11 o'clock. Marcus emerged from the office, acting as if he just arrived. He worked the front of house, greeting customers, managing tables, watching every plate that came out of the kitchen. Around 12:30, table 12, a young couple, called him over. "Is something wrong?" Marcus asked, though he already knew. "The chicken tastes weird," the woman said apologetically. "Kind of. Chemical?" Marcus felt anger surge through him, hot and righteous. But he swallowed it down, apologizing, offering replacements, comping their meal. When he returned to the kitchen, Derek was plating another chicken dish. "Derek," Marcus said quietly, "I need to ask you something, and I need you to be straight with me." Derek's hands stilled. "Okay. Are you doing anything different with the chicken? Anything at all? New cleaning procedure, different preparation method, anything?" The silence stretched too long. "We're just following cost-saving procedures," Derek finally said, his voice careful. "Trying to reduce waste, maximize what we get from each delivery." "What kind of procedures?" "Industry standard stuff. Nothing to worry about." That phrase, "nothing to worry about," was perhaps the most worrying thing Derek could have said. "Show me," Marcus demanded. "Boss, we're in the middle of lunch service. Show me." Derek's face hardened. "There's nothing to show. We're doing our jobs. If you don't trust us after all these years, maybe that's a bigger problem." He turned back to the grill, dismissing Marcus. Sophia and James wouldn't meet Marcus's eyes. Something was very wrong. And his staff had closed ranks against him. Marcus left the kitchen, his mind made up. Confrontation wouldn't work. They'd perfected their story, whatever it was. He needed a different approach. A way to see what they were really doing when they thought no one was watching. He needed to become invisible in his own restaurant. Marcus spent the afternoon at Ray Martinez's depot, watching quality control inspectors examine chicken shipments with practiced efficiency. Every piece was checked, dated, temperature logged. Ray walked him through the entire process, proud of their standards. "We've never had a complaint from you before," Ray said, concerned. "If something's wrong with our product, I need to know." Marcus had Ray pull the delivery records for Chen's kitchen over the past month. Everything was documented perfectly: fresh product, proper handling, correct temperatures. Ray even let Marcus inspect chicken from the same batch currently sitting in his restaurant's walk-in. It was flawless. "Ray, this isn't on you," Marcus said finally. "The problem is somewhere else." "You sure?" "Because if we're sending bad product." "I'm sure. Your chicken is perfect." Which means, Marcus trailed off, not wanting to say it out loud. Ray's expression darkened with understanding. "You think it's internal?" Marcus nodded slowly. "That's rough, man. These people work for you, you trust them, and then—" Ray shook his head. "What are you going to do?" "I don't know yet," Marcus admitted. "But I'll figure it out." He returned to the restaurant at 4 p.m., during the quiet window between lunch and dinner service. The kitchen was mostly empty. Derek had left for his break, Sophia was in the back taking inventory, and James was out running an errand. The only person in the kitchen was Tommy Chin, no relation, despite the shared last name, a 16-year-old kid Marcus had hired 3 weeks ago as a dishwasher. Tommy was a quiet kid, hardworking, saving money for community college. He reminded Marcus of himself at that age. Tommy was scrubbing down the prep station, headphones in, nodding along to whatever music was playing. He jumped when Marcus tapped his shoulder. "Sorry!" Tommy pulled out his earbuds. "Mr. Chen, I didn't hear you come in." "It's okay, Tommy. You're doing great work." Marcus grabbed a towel and started helping him wipe down counters. "How are you liking it here?" "It's good. Everyone's pretty nice. The work's harder than I thought, but it's honest, you know?" Marcus smiled. "That's the restaurant business. Honest work." He paused, choosing his words carefully. "You getting along with Derek and the others?" "Yeah, they're cool. Derek's been teaching me stuff about food prep, even though that's not really my job." Tommy scrubbed at a stubborn spot. "He says it's good to understand the whole operation. Derek's a good teacher," Marcus said, though the words felt hollow. "You notice anything unusual in the kitchen? Anything that seems odd?" Tommy shrugged. "I mean, I don't know much about restaurant kitchens. This is my first job in 1 inch. Marcus nodded, ready to let it go, when Tommy added casually. "I guess the chicken thing is kinda weird, but Derek said it's normal." Marcus's hand froze mid-wipe. "The chicken thing?" "Yeah, you know." Tommy kept scrubbing, not noticing Marcus's sudden tension. "Sometimes the chicken deliveries look kinda bad, like darker or smelly? But the staff fixes it before service, so it's all good." The room seemed to tilt slightly. "Fixes it how?" Tommy finally looked up, catching something in Marcus's tone. I don't know exactly. I just see them take it to the back corner sometimes. When I asked Derek about it once, he said they were just cleaning it properly, that it's what professional kitchens do." "Show me where," Marcus said quietly. "The back corner? By the dry storage?" "Yes." Tommy led him to the area where Marcus had seen Derek disappear earlier. Behind the tall shelf unit, tucked into a corner that wasn't visible from the main kitchen, was a large plastic basin Marcus had never noticed before. It was clean now, but there were water stains on the floor around it. "They bring the chicken here?" Marcus asked. "Sometimes. Not all of it, just the ones that look off." Tommy shifted uncomfortably. "Is something wrong?" Did I say something I shouldn't have?" Marcus's mind was racing. They were treating the chicken somehow, in secret, in a hidden corner of his own kitchen. The bleach bottle. The neutralized smell. The metallic taste. "Tommy, this is important. Have you ever seen what they actually do to the chicken back here?" The kid's face went pale. "Mr. Chin, I don't want to get anyone in trouble. They've been nice to me. You won't get in trouble. I promise. But I need to know what's happening in my kitchen." Tommy bit his lip, looking torn. He was just a kid, Marcus realized. 16 years old, probably scared of losing his first real job. "I saw them washing it once," Tommy said finally, his voice barely above a whisper. "Was something from under the sink. It looked like, I don't know, maybe bleach? But that can't be right, can it? You can't use bleach on food." Marcus felt cold despite the warm kitchen. When did you see this? Last week. I came in early to make up some hours I'd missed. They didn't know I was here yet. Tommy's eyes were wide now, scared. Mr. Chen, they're not actually using bleach on the chicken, right? That would be crazy. I probably just saw wrong. The back door opened. Derek's voice carried through the kitchen. I'm back. Tommy, you still here? Tommy's face went white. Please don't tell him I said anything. Please. My mom needs this job's money for. I won't, Marcus said quickly. Go on, get back to work. Act normal. Tommy practically ran back to the dish station. Marcus stood in the hidden corner, staring at the innocent-looking basin. His staff wasn't just hiding something. They were actively poisoning his customers, washing expired or spoiled meat with bleach to mask the rot. And they'd been doing it right under his nose. He'd built this restaurant on trust, on treating his staff like family. And they'd betrayed that trust in the worst possible way. But confronting them directly hadn't worked. They'd just deny it, close ranks, maybe even destroy evidence. No, Marcus needed proof. He needed to see it with his own eyes. And there was only one way to do that. He needed to stop being the owner. Marcus sat in his car outside Ray Martinez's house at 9 p.m., his hands gripping the steering wheel. This was insane. Owners didn't spy on their own employees. But owners also didn't let their staff poison customers. Ray answered the door with a beer in hand and concern on his face. Marcus? What's going on? You sounded weird on the phone. I need a favor, Marcus said. A big one. 20 minutes later, they sat at Ray's kitchen table. Marcus had explained everything, the complaints, the hidden basin, Tommy's confession about bleach. Jesus, Ray breathed. They're washing rotten chicken with bleach? I think so. But I need to see it myself. I need proof before I call the health department, before I fire anyone. Because if I'm wrong, you're not wrong, Marcus. That kid saw what he saw. But I need to be sure. Marcus leaned forward. Your company does deliveries to my restaurant every Tuesday and Friday morning, right? Yeah, 6 a.m. slot. Do your drivers wear uniforms? ID badges? Ray's eyes widened. No. Absolutely not. You want to pretend to be a delivery driver? Marcus, that's the only way. They won't do anything suspicious if they think I'm there. But if I'm out of town and some random driver makes the delivery, Marcus spread his hands. They'll think they're safe. They'll do whatever they normally do. Ray ran his hand through his hair. Man, I could lose my job for this. I know. And I wouldn't ask if there was any other way. They sat in silence. Finally, Ray stood and disappeared into his bedroom. He returned with a company polo shirt and a laminated ID badge, his own. Tomorrow's Friday. Delivery day, Ray said. I'll call in sick. You'll take my truck and make the delivery yourself. Keep the badge turned around so they can't read the name. Wear a cap, keep your head down. Most drivers don't chat much anyway. Marcus took the shirt and badge like they were sacred objects. Ray, don't thank me yet. If this goes sideways, we're both screwed. Ray pointed at him. But if they're really doing what you think they're doing, you shut that place down until it's clean. You hear me? People could die from that kind of contamination. Marcus nodded, his throat tight. That night, he texted his staff a carefully crafted message. Family emergency in Sacramento. Leaving tonight, back Monday. Derek, you're in charge. Keep everything running smooth. Derek's response came quickly. No problem, boss. Take care of your family. We've got this. Marcus stared at that message for a long time. We've got this. Such simple words. Such betrayal hidden beneath them. He barely slept. At 4:30 a.m., he met Ray at the depot. Ray showed him how to load the truck, how to handle the delivery paperwork, what routes to take. Remember, Ray said, you're just a tired driver on a Friday morning. You don't care about their kitchen, their operation, nothing. Drop the stock, get a signature, leave. Don't engage. Marcus nodded, pulling on a baseball cap low over his eyes. In the rearview mirror, he barely recognized himself, the cap, the polo shirt, the exhaustion on his face. Good. He didn't need to be Marcus Chin owner. He needed to be nobody. The drive to his own restaurant felt surreal. He'd made this trip thousands of times, but never like this. Never as an intruder in his own business. He backed the truck up to the rear entrance at 5:58 a.m. The kitchen lights were already on. Through the small window in the door, he could see Derek moving around inside. Marcus grabbed 2 crates of chicken and walked to the door. He knocked with his elbow, hard hammering. Derek opened it, barely glancing at him. "You're the new guy? Where's Ray?" Marcus grunted, keeping his head down. "Sick. Where you want these?" "Walk in, back left." Derek held the door open but was already turning away, focused on his prep work. Marcus carried the crates inside, moving through his own kitchen like a stranger. Every instinct screamed at him to look around, to investigate, but he forced himself to stay in character. Just a driver. Just doing a job. He made 3 more trips to the truck. On the second trip, James arrived, looking half asleep. He nodded at Marcus but didn't really see him, just another faceless delivery worker. On the final trip, Marcus deliberately took longer, organizing the crates slowly in the walk-in. Through the wire shelving, he could see into the main kitchen. Derek was pulling out yesterday's chicken from the back of the walk-in, packages that should have been used or tossed. The dates on them were from 4 days ago, pushing the edge of safe storage time. But instead of throwing them out, Derek glanced toward the back door, checking if Marcus was still there. Satisfied the driver was occupied, Derek carried the tray toward the back corner. The hidden corner. Marcus's pulse raced. He needed to see this. But he couldn't just follow. Too obvious, too suspicious. He grabbed the empty-hand truck and wheeled it noisily toward the exit, making sure Derek heard him leaving. But instead of going out the back door, Marcus slipped into the dry storage area, positioning himself behind the tall shelf unit where Tommy said he'd hidden. From here, he had a narrow view of the secret basin. Derek set the tray down and turned on the water. From under the nearby cabinet, he pulled out a large bottle, the same commercial bleach Marcus had found before. Marcus watched, frozen, as Derek poured a generous amount of bleach into the basin with the running water, creating a pale, chemical-smelling solution. Then Derek began placing the chicken pieces into the bleach water, one by one, washing away the smell of spoilage, scrubbing away the discoloration of decay, making the rotten look fresh. Marcus's stomach lurched as he watched Derek work with practiced efficiency. Rotating each piece of chicken through the bleach solution like this was the most normal thing in the world. The chemical smell burned Marcus's nostrils even from his hiding spot. Derek didn't rush. He scrubbed each piece carefully, almost tenderly, paying special attention to any darker spots where the meat had started turning. The bleach stripped away the discoloration, leaving the chicken looking pale, too pale, that grayish color customers had complained about, but certainly better than the yellowing, foul-smelling state it had been in moments before. After washing each piece, Derek rinsed it quickly under plain water and placed it on a clean tray. The whole process took about 8 minutes. Sophia arrived just as Derek was finishing. She glanced at the basin, at the bleach bottle, and nodded like this was completely routine. "How many pieces this time?" she asked quietly. "About 15. Should be enough for the lunch specials." Derek wiped his hands on his apron. "The rest of the delivery looks good. The new driver see anything?" "Nah, he's already gone. Didn't even make eye contact." Marcus's chest tightened. They were so casual about it. So practiced. This wasn't a one-time mistake or a desperate last resort. This was a system. A process they'd refined over time. Sophia started prepping vegetables while Derek carried the cleaned chicken to the main prep area. He began marinating it in their signature sauce, lemon, herbs, garlic. Strong flavors designed to mask any remaining chemical taste. Marcus needed to see more. He needed to understand the full scope of this nightmare. He waited until both Derek and Sophia were focused on their work, then carefully maneuvered deeper into the storage area. Behind a stack of rice bags, he found something that made his blood run cold. A logbook. Handwritten, tucked between supplies. Marcus flipped it open, his hands shaking. The entries went back 6 weeks. October 3rd to 12th pieces salvaged, bleach solution 1:10 ratio. October 7th to 18th pieces salvaged, increased to 1:8 ratio, better results. October 10th to 24th pieces salvaged, customers no complaints. October 14th to 21st pieces salvaged, one complaint about color, used more marinade. It went on and on. Dozens of entries. They'd been documenting their contamination process like a science experiment, adjusting ratios, noting customer reactions, optimizing their poisoning technique. Marcus felt rage and horror warring inside him. These weren't just employees making a bad decision, they'd turned food safety violations into a refined operation. The back door opened again. James's voice. "Hey, Derek, we got more expired stuff in the walk-in. I can prep it. Check the back corner, left side," Derek called out. "Anything past the 3rd day, bring it out." Marcus's mind reeled. They had a system for identifying which stock to salvage, they all knew. All 3 of them were in on it. James emerged from the walk-in carrying another tray. "These are from Monday. Pretty rough." "How rough?" "Smelling pretty strong. Greenish tint on a few pieces." Derek nodded. "Double rinse those. And bump up the bleach ratio to 1 to 7 inch. Marcus had heard enough. He'd seen enough. His staff wasn't just washing slightly old chicken, they were taking legitimately spoiled meat that should be in a dumpster, and serving it to his customers. He pulled out his phone and started taking photos of the logbook, his hands trembling with fury. He needed evidence. The health department would need evidence. A floorboard creaked under his weight. The kitchen went silent. "Someone's back there," Sophia said quietly. Marcus's heart stopped. He shoved the phone in his pocket just as James rounded the corner. For a moment, they stared at each other. Recognition flickered in James's eyes. The uniform might fool him from a distance, but up close, with the cap knocked slightly back. "Boss?" James whispered, his face going white. Derek appeared behind him. Then Sophia. All 3 of them frozen, staring at Marcus holding their incriminating logbook. The silence stretched like taffy, painful and awkward. Finally Derek spoke, his voice hollow. "How long have you been back there?" Marcus stepped out from behind the shelves, pulling off the cap completely. "No point in pretending anymore." "Long enough. I watched you wash rotten chicken with bleach. I found your log. I saw everything." Derek's face crumbled. Sophia looked like she might cry. James just stared at the floor. "Marcus, listen," Derek started. "Don't." Marcus's voice came out like gravel. "Don't say a word. I need to think." He walked to the basin, staring at the diluted bleach water still sitting there, evidence of their crime. His mind was racing, trying to process what he'd discovered. These weren't strangers. Derek had worked for him for 8 years. Sophia for 5. He'd been to their homes, met their families, celebrated their birthdays. He'd trusted them completely. And they'd been poisoning people. "The walk-in," Marcus said quietly. "Show me what else you've been salvaging." Derek hesitated, then led him to the refrigerator. In the back corner, hidden behind newer stock, were packages of chicken dated from over a week ago. Some of the meat visible through the plastic had a distinctly yellow-green tinge. "This is what you've been serving?" Marcus's voice broke. "This?" "Marcus, please let us explain," Sophia pleaded. "Explain?" Marcus whirled on them. "You've been washing spoiled meat with bleach and serving it to our customers. What explanation could possibly? We were trying to save the restaurant," Derek shouted suddenly, his composure finally cracking. "We were trying to save your restaurant." The words hung in the air like smoke. Marcus stared at him. "What?" Derek slumped against the prep counter, his face buried in his hands. When he looked up, his eyes were red-rimmed and exhausted. "You really don't know, do you?" Derek said bitterly. "You don't see what's been happening. Then tell me." Marcus said, his voice dangerously quiet. Tell me why you've been poisoning people. We're not. Derek stopped himself, shook his head. Okay, yes, we shouldn't have used bleach. I know that. But Marcus, we didn't have a choice. There's always a choice. Is there? Sophia spoke up, her voice shaking. Is there really? Because from where we're standing, the choices were watch this place go bankrupt or try to save it. Marcus felt like he'd been punched. What are you talking about? We're doing fine. No, we're not, Derek said flatly. Marcus, when's the last time you actually looked at the numbers? The real numbers? I check the accounts every month. The summary reports, yeah? But do you see the invoices? The payment schedules? Derek pulled out his phone, scrolling through photos. For the past 3 months, Ray's company has been sending us damaged goods. Stuff that's already near expiration when it arrives. Look. He showed Marcus a photo of a delivery receipt from 6 weeks ago. In the corner, barely visible, was a stamp. Clearance reduced price near expiration. Marcus's stomach dropped. Ray's been sending us expired stock? Not expired exactly, but close. Really close, James finally spoke up. It started small, a few packages here and there with dates that were tight. But then it got worse. Last month, 40% of our chicken delivery was near expiration. Why didn't anyone tell me? We tried, Sophia said. Derek mentioned it twice. You said to work with the supplier and we've been with them for years, they'll sort it out. Marcus's mind raced back. Had they mentioned it? He'd been so focused on the front of house, on customer service, on maintaining the restaurant's reputation. But even if Ray was sending bad stock, Marcus said slowly, that doesn't explain the bleach. You could have just refused the deliveries. You could have. And then what? Derek interrupted. Marcus, do you know what our food costs are? We're operating on a 7% profit margin. 7%. One bad week and we're in the red. That's not possible. We've been profitable for years. We were profitable. Derek corrected. Past tense. That new apartment complex went up 3 blocks away, the luxury one. They opened with a restaurant inside. Then the poke bowl place opened across the street. Then the gastropub. Marcus, our regular customer base has dropped by 30% in 6 months. The words hit Marcus like physical blows. He'd noticed the new restaurants, of course, but he thought Chen's Kitchen would be fine. They had loyal customers. A good reputation. History in the neighborhood. The food costs kept going up. Sophia added quietly. But you said we couldn't raise menu prices because of competition. So Derek asked Ray for a discount. Ray said he could give us a deal on near-expiration stock. 50% off. 50%. Marcus repeated numbly. It was that or cut staff hours, James said. Or close on Mondays. Or reduce portion sizes. All the things that would make customers notice, make them leave. Derek picked up the thread. At first, the near-expiration stuff was fine. 1 or 2 days from the date, we'd use it immediately, no problem. But then Ray started sending things that were already past the date, or meat that smelled off. When I called to complain, he said take it or leave it. Those were our contracted terms now. Marcus leaned against the wall, feeling sick. So you started washing it with bleach. I looked it up. Derek said defensively. Online forums, restaurant management sites. Some places in other countries do use diluted bleach solutions for cleaning meat. It's not technically illegal if done properly. It's not food safe. Marcus shouted. People are complaining about metallic tastes. Gray chicken. You're making customers sick. No one's gotten seriously ill, Sophia said quickly. We monitor the health department reports. If anyone had reported food poisoning from here, we would have stopped immediately. That you know of. Marcus felt hysteria rising in his chest. Some people might not report it. Some might just never come back. You've been gambling with people's health. We've been gambling with everyone's jobs. Derek shot back. You think I wanted to do this? You think I'm proud of this? But what was I supposed to do, Marcus? Come to you and say, hey boss, we need to close the restaurant because we can't afford safe food anymore? The kitchen fell silent except for the hum of refrigerators. Marcus looked at each of them, Derek, Sophia, James. They looked back at him with a mixture of guilt, defiance, and something else. Desperation. How long? Marcus asked quietly. How long has the restaurant been struggling? About 4 months. Derek admitted. Since summer ended. That's when the new places really started pulling customers. 4 months. For 4 months, his business had been circling the drain and he hadn't even noticed. He'd been so focused on maintaining appearances, on believing everything was fine, that he'd missed the reality. His staff had seen the truth. And instead of letting the restaurant fail, they'd made a terrible choice. There had to be another way, Marcus said, but his voice lacked conviction now. Tell us what it was, Derek said tiredly. Tell us what we should have done instead. Because we spent weeks trying to figure it out, and this was the only solution that kept everyone employed and the doors open. Marcus had no answer. Marcus stood in the middle of his kitchen, his kingdom that had become a crime scene, and felt the weight of 12 years pressing down on him. Every tile, every spatula, every menu item represented a dream. And that dream had rotted from the inside while he'd looked away. Everyone stop working, Marcus said finally. Right now. Derek straightened. Marcus, we have lunch service in 3 hours. There won't be a lunch service. Marcus pulled out his phone. There won't be any service until I figure out what happens next. Boss, please. Sophia started. How many customers have eaten this contaminated chicken? Marcus interrupted. Over the past 6 weeks, how many people? The three of them exchanged glances. James finally answered. Maybe. 300? 400? Marcus felt his knees weaken. 400 people. 400 neighbors, friends, families who'd trusted him and been served bleach-washed meat. We're shutting down. Today. Right now, Marcus started pulling packages from the walk-in. All of this goes in the dumpster. Every single piece of chicken in this building. Marcus, that's $2,000 worth of inventory. Derek protested. I don't care if it's 10,000. Marcus's voice cracked. We're throwing it away. All of it. And then we're sanitizing every surface in this kitchen. He grabbed his phone again and pulled up a number he'd hoped never to call. The county health department. Wait. Sophia grabbed his arm. If you call them, they'll shut us down permanently. We'll lose our license. Everyone loses their jobs. Marcus looked at her hand on his arm, then at her face. She was crying now, mascara running down her cheeks. Please, she whispered. My daughter starts college next year. I need this job. We all need this job. You should have thought about that before. Marcus stopped himself. Getting angry wouldn't fix anything. Sophia let go. She released his arm, stepping back. Marcus dialed. A woman answered on the third ring. Health Department, Inspector Rodriguez speaking. My name is Marcus Chen. I own Chen's Kitchen on Maple Street. I need to report a food safety violation at my restaurant. His voice sounded hollow, distant, like someone else was speaking. My staff has been washing spoiled chicken with bleach and serving it to customers. The silence on the other end was deafening. I'm shutting down operations immediately. Marcus continued. But I need an inspector here as soon as possible to document everything and tell me what I need to do to make this right. Inspector Rodriguez's voice turned sharp and professional. Mr. Chen, I need you to cease all food service immediately. Do not dispose of any evidence. We'll have someone there within the hour. When Marcus hung up, Derek was staring at him like he'd just committed murder. You just killed the restaurant, Derek said flatly. You know that, right? They'll revoke our license. We're done. We were already done the moment you put bleach on food. Marcus shot back. But the words felt hollow. Derek wasn't entirely wrong. The restaurant his parents' insurance money had built, the business he'd poured his life into, it was over. I'm sorry, James said suddenly. I'm really sorry, Marcus. I knew it was wrong, but I just went along with it. I needed the job, and Derek said it would be fine, and He trailed off, wiping his eyes. Sophia was sobbing quietly now. Derek just looked empty. You're all fired, Marcus said. The words came out mechanical, necessary. Effective immediately. I'll pay you through today, but I can't keep you on. You understand that, right? Yeah, Derek said bitterly. We understand. The health inspector will want to interview each of you. I recommend you cooperate fully. Tell them everything. Marcus looked at the logbook still sitting on the counter. And if any customers sue, I'll need you to testify about what happened. Will you throw us under the bus? Sophia asked, her voice small. Marcus considered lying, but he was done with lies. I don't know. I honestly don't know. Right now, I'm just trying to make sure no one else gets hurt. The next hour was surreal. Marcus had Derek, Sophia, and James help him dispose of all the chicken, nearly 40 pounds of it, into garbage bags. Tommy arrived for his morning shift, took one look at everyone's faces, and asked what was wrong. We're closed today, Marcus told him gently. Maybe longer. I'll text you when I know more. Did I get someone in trouble? Tommy asked, his voice shaking. When I told you about the chicken? You didn't do anything wrong, Marcus said firmly. You probably saved someone's life. Inspector Rodriguez arrived with 2 other inspectors at 10:47 a.m. She was a severe woman in her 50s with sharp eyes that missed nothing. She photographed everything: the basin, the bleach bottles, the logbook, the hidden corner. She interviewed each staff member separately in the dining room while her colleagues swabbed surfaces and took samples. When it was Marcus's turn, he told her everything. How he'd gone undercover, what he'd seen, when he'd discovered it. He didn't try to deflect blame or protect anyone. Mr. Chin, Inspector Rodriguez said when he finished, I've been doing this job for 23 years. This is one of the most serious violations I've encountered. The health department shut down Chen's kitchen for 47 days. During that time, Marcus lived in a kind of purgatory. The story hit the local news. Restaurant owner reports own staff for food safety violations, and the public reaction was split. Some praised his integrity. Others wondered how he could have been so blind to what was happening in his own kitchen. 3 customers came forward with proof of food poisoning, mild cases, thankfully, but enough to trigger a lawsuit. Marcus's insurance would cover most of it, but the deductible alone wiped out his savings. Ray Martinez was fired when the health department investigated the supplier. It turned out Ray had been running a side operation, selling near-expiration and expired product to struggling restaurants at huge discounts and pocketing the difference. Marcus felt a complicated grief about that. Ray had helped him go undercover, but Ray had also created the conditions that led to the bleach washing in the first place. Derek, Sophia, and James all got misdemeanor citations for food safety violations. Derek paid the fine and moved to another state. Marcus heard through the grapevine that he'd left the restaurant industry entirely. Sophia found work at a corporate cafeteria. Better hours, she said, though she still wouldn't look Marcus in the eye when they ran into each other at the grocery store. James was the only one who apologized in writing, a long email explaining his regret and taking responsibility for his choices. Marcus read that email 20 times before he could bring himself to delete it. The decision to reopen came during week 5 of the shutdown. Marcus was sitting in the empty dining room, surrounded by quotes from contractors for new equipment, when Tommy knocked on the window. Mr. Chin? Can I talk to you? Marcus unlocked the door. Tommy looked older somehow, though it had only been a month. I heard you might not reopen, Tommy said. Is that true? I don't know yet, Marcus admitted. The costs are substantial. And I'm not sure people will come back. They will, Tommy said with surprising conviction. My mom and her friends have been talking about it. They said what you did was brave. You chose people over money. Marcus laughed bitterly. I chose to report a crime that was happening in my own business. That's not brave, that's basic responsibility. My mom says most people wouldn't have done it. Most people would have just fired the staff quietly and kept the restaurant open. Tommy pulled out his phone and showed Marcus a social media post, a neighborhood group with hundreds of comments. Look! People want you to reopen. They trust you now because you did the right thing even when it hurt. Marcus scrolled through the comments. Not all of them were positive, but many were surprisingly supportive. Takes real character to turn yourself in like that. We need more honest business owners in this neighborhood. I'll eat there again once they reopen. They've proven their integrity. Maybe Tommy was right. Maybe there was a path forward. Marcus reopened Chen's kitchen on December 18th with a completely different approach. The menu was smaller, just 8 items instead of 23. No chicken at all, at least not yet. Instead, Marcus focused on dishes he could prepare with fresh, local ingredients from suppliers he personally vetted. He installed a glass window between the kitchen and dining room so customers could watch the food being prepared. He posted his supplier list on the wall, along with his health inspection scores, which were now perfect. And he hired new staff, 2 cooks who'd worked in hospital kitchens where food safety was paramount, and a manager who'd spent a decade in quality control. He also kept Tommy on, promoting him from dishwasher to prep assistant. You saved this place, Marcus told him. You deserve to be part of what comes next. The first week was slow. Painfully slow. Some nights they had more staff than customers. But gradually, people returned. First the curious, then the loyal, then the newcomers who'd heard the story and wanted to support a business built on integrity. Mrs. Henderson came back on week 3. She ordered the salmon, one of the new menu items, and after finishing, she called Marcus over. That was excellent, she said warmly. Really excellent. Thank you, Marcus said, and found he meant it more deeply than he ever had before. Thank you for giving us another chance. Marcus, dear, we all deserve second chances. What matters is what you do with them. 6 months after reopening, Chen's kitchen wasn't just surviving, it was thriving. Not in the way it had before, with maximum profit margins and cut corners. But in a better way. A sustainable way. Marcus had learned that success wasn't about hiding problems or protecting profits at any cost. Real success was built on transparency, accountability, and the courage to face ugly truths. He'd lost his original restaurant. But in its place, he'd built something better, something he could actually be proud of. Every night before closing, Marcus walked through his kitchen, checking that everything was clean, safe, and honest. And every night, he could finally sleep without wondering what secrets were rotting in the corners. The sign in the window now read, Chen's Kitchen, where integrity is always on the menu. It wasn't the catchiest slogan. But it was true. And in the end, that was all that mattered. The end.